So you have $0 to your name, or pretty close to $0, just rounded down, and you want to get started in real estate. And obviously real estate is pay to play. You need money to play. You need money to buy houses. So how do you get started in real estate when you have nothing? Well, luckily for you, the path is already laid out, and many people, including myself, have done it previously. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel, and you can get started today, even if you have $0 to your name. Now in this video, I plan to get a little bit more niche than just broad topics like, oh, wholesale real estate, you need $0, or just buy a rental property and then refinance out and pay off your initial investment. I plan on getting a little bit more niche than that, and a little bit more entry level too, because although it sounds like it's easy to do, it's not. Especially the BRRRR method is not easy to do, and cash out all your money. Wholesaling with $0 down isn't always the easiest, but we're gonna go over 4 niche strategies that you can do literally today to get started in real estate, and you don't have to spend $1 to do so. So take notes, write down these ideas, and if you have a friend that's broke and wants to get into real estate, send them this video too, and maybe you guys can make some money, get a high rise in Miami and all this stuff together. Now one quick note is, although you have $0, I'm gonna make the assumption that you have internet, access to a phone, and access to a computer, because you will need those. Tip number 1 involves wholesaling real estate, but it's a little bit of a different method, and it's called wholesaling. And what wholesaling means is, instead of finding the seller and then selling the deal to a buyer, you're finding the wholesaler that already spent time and money to find the seller, and you're finding the buyer. So you're connecting this wholesaler that has the deal and spent their time, energy, money, everything to get this deal, and you're connecting them to the buyer, and you have the buyer over here. And the best part about this is you don't have to spend any money to get the deal. All you have to do is find these wholesalers, and you can find them networking in wholesale groups, Facebook group, in communities, in all these different spaces. And the best part about finding buyers is buyers want deals, so you don't have to spend money to find buyers. You can find buyers in the same exact spots. That's the craziest part. Maybe you can even be in a Facebook group where you find the wholesaler that has the deal and the buyer that buys the deal in the same Facebook group, but because you connected the dots, you can slip in there and get added on the deal. Now, once you find the wholesaler that has the deal and needs help finding a buyer, because the thing is, a lot of wholesalers spend all their time finding the sellers, but then they forget to find the buyer. And that's something that I was guilty of many times. I still am. Like, I still JV with people all the time. JVing is called joint venturing, so that's like the terminology to know in this. When you work together with somebody on a real estate deal, let's say 2 wholesalers work together, it's called JVing, joint venturing, and that just essentially means partnering on the deal. Once you find the wholesaler that has the deal but doesn't have a buyer, and you say that you might be able to get a buyer, you're gonna ask them if you can 50-50 the deal. And what that means is you're gonna 50% the assignment fee. So let's say it's a $10,000 assignment fee, then this person gets 5, this person gets 5. Some people will do 50-50, some people won't. Depending on what the buyer is paying, you can kind of slip in there, ask for 5,000, 10,000. Another thing that some wholesalers do is they say add on top, which means, let's say I'm selling a deal, my wholesale deal, for 100,000. I say, hey, there's no room for you in the deal as the dispo co-wholesaler, but you can add on top. So then what you'll do is you'll get the deal for 100, you'll sell it to your buyer for 110, and then you get whatever is added on top of 100. Now, one cool thing that you can do, and people have done this to me, it's crazy. Actually, like a year, this was back in 2020, 2 years, dang, time flies. But 2 years ago, I had a deal in Miami, and I sold it. I think I had it I remember I had it under contract for 400. I was just selling it for 410. And I was, just gonna make a quick 10,000 on it. And a co-wholesaler said, hey, I'll find you the buyer for it. And he said, I'll add on top so you can make your fee. I'm like, okay, bet. So he gets the deal and he markets it. I didn't hear from him for like a week. And then he's like, hey, my buyer wants it. I added on top. I'm like, okay, perfect. And I tell people this all the time, when I do deals, is like, I'm not counting your pocket. You make your money, whatever you make, I don't care. But I come to find out once we do the assignment that he sold this deal for $470,000. So I made 10 and he made like 60, and it was like some other like numbers in there, but like he made like 60 rounded. I was like, bro, what the heck? Like, this dude killed it on my deal. I didn't care. Like, I was like, hey bro, good for you. Like, happy for you. I sold the deal and like it is what it is. I was actually struggling to sell that deal. So you can add on top, and that's how co-wholesaling works. This is literally $0 entry, just calling wholesalers, calling buyers, and connecting the dots. Number 2 is not going to be what you want to hear, but work for somebody that has a business. I know you're saying, oh, I'm trying to start my own thing, I'm trying to get my own thing, like I'm trying to do my own job and all this stuff, like why would I work for somebody else? But it's different working for a wholesaling company or working a corporate job. And you can work for somebody else that will expedite your learning curve, that'll give you free leads. They'll even pay you to close the leads because, you know, you're getting a commission. You'll learn from them, you'll learn real estate, you'll expedite your learning curve so much, and you'll build your connections through this, you know, boss, through your coworkers, through people you meet that visit the office and their friends. You'll meet all these people and you'll develop your network, and 1-2 years later you can just go off and do your own wholesale business with all these new skills and traits that you've learned. And you'll literally have a safety net because you won't have to be like, oh, I can't get a deal, like I'm gonna go underwater. Like you have a safety net because you're working in somebody else's company. So it's a great way to get started. Don't sleep on working for somebody else. And you can do a few different ways of working for somebody else. One is cold calling. The second is like an acquisition manager where you're closing deals. A third one is the disposition manager, what we just spoke about before, but working in somebody's company doing that. You can be like an admin assistant, you know, whatever you want to do. But work in somebody's business is a really good way of developing your skills and getting paid to do so. And one other thing is, I know a lot of people that work in real estate businesses, they're making 6 figures plus from, you know, commissions and stuff, because that real estate business does so much business and they have so much marketing that the acquisition guys are making 6 figures. So you can make a living salary plus, you know, have a pretty good living working for somebody else. Point number 3 is being a property manager. This one is a little bit different, a little bit more niche, and probably not for everybody, because it definitely is not for me, because I hate property management. I have my Airbnb and that's like more than enough for me right now. But what you can do, and I know people that started in property management doing this, is you can reach out to people maybe on social media that have big portfolios, and you can ask them if they need help managing their portfolio, and you can either work for them managing their portfolio or you can take over management for their portfolio. The average property manager gets between 10 and 15% of the income from that management. So let's say a house is renting for $1,000, that property manager will get between 100, 150 on average for that rental income. And this is a good way of getting some cash flow. It's going to be very active because you're going to be managing tenants. Depending on how many doors and how many properties, you know, you get under, you know, your management, it'll depend on how much money you're making, but you could scale this to a few $1,000s a month. And the entry level is really $0. Like, what are you spending money on? You know, you're calling somebody, they bought the house, they did all the repairs. You're not really spending money on anything. Like, you're just managing the house. Now, if you did this, I think this is a good business to start if you have skills with property management or like in this field, or maybe if you want to start with like a partner or something, so there's 2 people, so you're not like doing this all by yourself. Because I think the 2 worst businesses in real estate are having a call center and property management, just because there's so many humans involved in these businesses and it's just not easy work. One side note for this is you might be thinking, oh, Airbnb arbitrage, but the reason I'm not mentioning Airbnb arbitrage is because with Airbnb arbitrage, you need to spend money on furniture, you need to spend money on security deposit, you need to spend money on rent, you need to spend money on appliances and, you know, internet and modems and like just all this stuff, you know, and that's not $0. Like, you're spending money. Even if you're racking up on a credit card and you're not out of pocket money, you're still spending money. So I don't consider Airbnb arbitrage a $0 business. I actually don't like Airbnb arbitrage at all. I think it's a terrible business model. I think you're too reliant on an algorithm, Airbnb. I think you're too reliant on a lot of different factors that aren't all in your control. Point number 4 is going to be something a little bit more broad, and that's going to be wholesaling, but wholesaling where you can get free leads. And there's 3 ways that come to mind. I'm probably missing some, but there's 3 ways that come to mind, and that's for sale by owners, on market, and in Facebook groups. Now, I'll be honest, this is probably my least favorite one, because when I first got started, I hated, and to this day, I still hate calling for sale by owners. For sale by owners is like the worst. I don't know if it's because I'm in Miami, which is a major metropolitan, and you know, all these for sale by owners have been called a million times before me and a million times after me, but like, man, they're tough to find deals for sale by owners. But like, I see people doing it. Like, I'm in Facebook groups, I'm in all these communities, and people are like, oh, I just got this deal for sale by owner. I'm like, bro, I don't know how. Like, I really don't know how. But for sale by owners do have their phone number, do have the address, usually some info on the property. So you're not paying money to get the leads. So at least it's free. I think it's good like practice maybe, but it's tough. Maybe the move for sale by owners is like smaller markets, not like big markets, like smaller areas that maybe not a lot of people are looking at, but that's something to consider. On market, it's a little bit different. I personally don't like on market wholesaling. I do on market wholesaling for creative finance, which is completely different. Not mentioning this because that's like advanced, and this is more of like a intermediate beginner level video. On market creative is a little bit different because you're offering full asking price with terms, but on market wholesaling is tough because, you know, these people have a listing for 100,000, you're offering 60, and they're like, bro, you really just offered me like half of my listing. It's tough, but I know people are doing on market wholesaling. There's deals out there. You can network with agents and, you know, try to get pocket listings. That's a good way of doing business with $0. If you don't know what a pocket listing is it's a listing that hasn't been listed yet. So let's say a seller and a realtor sign a listing agreement. Now the realtor has the listing agreement, and what she or he does is they send it to all their buyers, their cash buyers, and they say, hey, before I list it, are you interested in this? And it's like, you know, kind of like keeping it in their pocket, like their back pocket. And the goal of the realtor is to represent both sides. So that's why they do that. And then, you know, maybe they can get a quick sale, cash buyer wins because they're getting it before the market blows up the deal. So, you know, I guess that's two ways of like in that category on market. The third way is Facebook groups. I still have not figured this out. I'll be completely transparent. I have not figured this out, but I know a guy I met at a meetup a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, and he does most of his deals from Facebook groups, and he posts in these Facebook groups that are not real estate related, saying that he's a real estate investor looking for houses, and not real estate related Facebook groups. That's like the hack, I guess. And, you know, people reach out, or, you know, he finds people in there that have houses, and, you know, he does deals like that. And I feel like that's tough to do, but I don't know, he says he's doing deals. So if you trust that guy I met, that's completely, you know, irrelevant story, then, you know, it's a good way of maybe getting started. I think it's worth trying. You know, if you have $0 but you have time, you know, maybe worth trying. Those are 4 ways to get started in real estate with literally $0. Like literally you can have $0 get started in all 4 of those. I would say the first 2 are the best ways. Number 3 is a little bit more niche. Number 4 is a little bit more broad and gonna be a little bit tougher, but there's so much deals that you can do with $0. I got started from my mom's apartment with like under $5,000 to my name, which I know is more than 0, but like you can do it. I promise. A lot of people have done it before you. A lot of people do it after you. So just get started and do this. If you want more in-depth videos on how to get started wholesaling, I have those on my channel, so check out them, and check out this video that YouTube recommends. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know which one of these you're gonna do below.